All right, we are moving on to page 5 in our digital notebook. This first question, around what year were the Minoan palaces and town mysteriously destroyed? You're going to find that answer in this pink highlighted paragraph. So let's go ahead and listen.
Who influenced the early Greeks? The early Greeks were influenced by an early civilization, the Minoans. Minoan culture developed on Crete, an island south of mainland Greece. It spread across the Aegean Islands and influenced mainland Greece around 2000 BCE. The Minoans. Minoan civilization was highly advanced. The Minoans had a writing system and built huge stone palaces with running water, like the one at Knossos. They traded goods throughout the Mediterranean. Around 1450 BCE, Minoan palaces and towns were mysteriously destroyed. Most historians believe that mainland Greeks were responsible.
Again, around what year were the Minoan palaces and town mysteriously destroyed? You'll find that answer in this pink circled paragraph. Next question. What was the relationship between the Minoans and the Mycenaeans? You'll find that answer in this circled yellow text. Let's go ahead and listen.
The Mycenaeans. The Minoans influenced a civilization that developed among Greek speakers on mainland Greece. This civilization, known as Mycenae, developed around 1600 BCE. Each Mycenaean town was governed by a monarchy, a government headed by a king. Mycenaean rulers lived in stone fortresses on hilltops overlooking their towns. The Mycenaeans made fine bronze weapons and pottery. They traded these goods for copper, ivory, and luxury goods from other lands. Mycenaeans sometimes raided other peoples and one another for gold and other goods. Eventually, the Mycenaean kingdoms grew weak. Then, around 1100 BCE, this civilization was destroyed by newcomers from the north known as Dorians.
Number 2, what was the relationship between the Minoans and the Mycenaeans? You'll find that answer in this circled yellow paragraph. Next question. After the fall of the Mycenaeans, what ability did the Greeks lose? So what could they no longer do? You'll find that answer in this green highlighted paragraph.
The Dark Age. With the fall of the Mycenaeans, Greek culture declined. People lost the ability to read and write. The following period, which lasted roughly from 1100 to 750, has been called a Dark Age. During these centuries, mainland Greeks migrated across the Aegean, settling the islands and the west coast of Anatolia, an area that became known as Ionia. The Greeks in Ionia brought their culture with them through several waves of migration. They never forgot the heroic age of the Mycenaeans. They told stories and sang songs of the world that existed before the Dark Age. One of these stories was about the Trojan War.
Number 3, after the fall of the Mycenaeans, what ability did the Greeks lose? So right here in this green highlighted text, you'll find that answer. All right, let's move to the next page. We'll be on page 6 in your digital notebook. All 3 questions will be answered on page 6. So the first one, the 10-year-long conflict ended when the Greeks tricked the Trojans into accepting a gift of a large wooden what? That answer will be in this pink highlighted paragraph. Number 2, the Greeks developed an alphabet based on the Phoenician alphabet around when? So this should be a year. You'll find that answer in this green highlighted paragraph. And finally, what 2 famous pieces of literature were written during this time? You'll find that answer in this blue highlighted paragraph right there. So let's go ahead and listen to this page, and when the page is done, we'll answer all 3 questions.
The Trojan War. In the legend of the Trojan War, warriors from Mycenaean kingdoms sailed across the Aegean to attack Troy, a city in Anatolia, also called Asia Minor, now the country of Turkey. The 10-year-long conflict ended when the Greeks tricked the Trojans into accepting a gift of a large wooden horse. Greeks hiding in the horse crept out and opened the city gates. The Greek army entered and burned Troy to the ground. For centuries, the stories of the Trojan War were recited or sung as the Greeks could no longer read or write. Then, in the 700s, the Greeks developed an alphabet based on the Phoenician alphabet. According to tradition, a poet named Homer shaped the stories of the Trojan War into a long epic poem, the Iliad. The poem was eventually written down. The Iliad tells of events during the war, but stops before the Greeks' eventual victory. Homer's Odyssey is another epic poem, which describes the adventures of the hero Odysseus on his journey home after the war. Both the Iliad and the Odyssey imagined a Mycenaean world of fearless warriors. The Iliad and the Odyssey shaped Greek culture. Students learned the verses by heart. The values expressed in these poems became part of Greek identity, including bravery, strength, and honor. In the Iliad, the warrior Achilles speaks to his troops before battle. Primary source. Every man make up his mind to fight and move on his enemy. Strong as I am, it's hard for me to face so many men and fight with all at once, and yet I will. Homer, The Iliad. The ancient Greeks tried to live up to the ideals of the poem's warriors, who sought glory through courageous feats.
Here is a visual image of what that Trojan horse looked like. It was huge. There are many movies made about this. So this horse was given as a gift. They brought it into their city, and as soon as they brought it in after nightfall, a bunch of the soldiers jumped out of this horse because they were all inside of this horse, and then they took over the city. Good shows, honestly. So, the first question, the 10-year-long conflict ended when the Greeks tricked the Trojans into accepting a gift of a large wooden what? That answer is in this pink highlighted paragraph. Number 2. The Greeks developed an alphabet based on the Phoenician alphabet around when? When is the time? What year? You'll find that answer in this green highlighted paragraph. Finally, number 3, what 2 famous pieces of literature were written during this time? We still read these today. You'll read them in high school probably. You'll find both of the names in this blue highlighted paragraph.